Imagine waking up one day to find that your entire world has changed. The place you call home is no longer yours. Your neighbors look at you differently. The government orders you to pack your belongings, leave your home, and relocate to an unknown place behind barbed wire fences. This was the reality for over 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II, following the signing of Executive Order 9066 in 1942. A news announcer states, "All persons of Japanese ancestry must report to designated assembly centers immediately. There is a military necessity." Today, we travel back in time to experience firsthand the injustices suffered by Japanese Americans. We will hear their stories, understand the harsh conditions of the internment camps, and analyze how history continues to echo in present-day issues of racial discrimination, xenophobia, and immigration detention. The train station is packed. I hold tightly onto my mother's hand, my other hand gripping a small suitcase that carries what little we could bring. The government gave us only a few days to prepare. My father, a hard-working man, once owned a small business. Now, he's forced to sell it for a fraction of its worth. The signs posted all over town were clear. We had no choice. The train doors slam shut, and the train starts to move. As we sit in silence, I wonder, what did we do wrong? We are American citizens, yet we are treated as enemies. The train moves toward our new home, a place surrounded by barbed wire and armed guards. Dust and heat greet us as we arrive at the internment camp. Our barracks are nothing more than wooden shacks with no insulation. At night, the cold bites through the walls, and during the day, the heat is suffocating. Privacy is non-existent, and the food is barely edible. An internee survivor that I was talking to states that it was humiliating. We lost everything: our homes, our business, and our dignity. Coming back to me, Japanese Americans were stripped of their civil liberties, forced into these camps under the guise of national security. And yet, despite the injustice, many remained resilient. Some young men volunteered for military service, joining the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the most decorated unit in U.S. military history. Others fought legal battles, challenging the government's actions. In the landmark case Korematsu versus United States, the Supreme Court upheld the internment order, a decision that would take decades to overturn. The U.S. government later admitted its wrongdoing, issuing a formal apology and reparations in 1988 through the Civil Liberties Act. But can an apology ever undo the pain, the loss, and the generational trauma? These injustices are not just relics of the past. Racial profiling, xenophobia, and the detention of marginalized communities continue today. The post-9/11 era saw the targeting of Muslim Americans. Immigrant detention centers have been compared to internment camps, holding thousands in poor conditions. How does history inform our present? What lessons must we take from the past to prevent such injustices in the future? We see patterns repeat throughout history. Fear often leads to the scapegoating of certain groups. Recognizing these patterns is crucial in preventing future violations of civil rights. History is not just something we read in textbooks. It is something that shapes our world today. By remembering the stories of those who suffered, by learning from their resilience, we can work toward a more just society, one that does not allow fear and prejudice to dictate policy. No payment can fully make up for the wrongs of the past, but we do recognize that serious injustices were done to Japanese Americans during World War II. President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act. Let's continue this conversation. Let's challenge discrimination in all its forms, because if we don't, history may just repeat itself. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this episode insightful, share it, discuss it, and reflect on how history continues to shape our world today. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep questioning the world around you.